Welcome to the HVAC Financial Freedom Podcast, a show where we talk about HVAC business ownership and financial freedom by sharing stories and advice of experts who can help you get there. Now your host, John Victoria.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, where you are calling in from. This is John Victoria here, the host of the HVAC Financial Freedom Podcast, and today we have a very, very special guest with us today. We have Jeremy Goff, who is the owner of Top Rank, which was established in 2003, and they are a family-owned and operated organization based out in Northern California. So the Top Rank's principals, they have been in the industry combined for over 40 years, and they specialize in HVAC maintenance, repairs, replacement, and new residential and light commercial construction. So, that's the brief introduction, but, welcome, Jeremy. Now, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out here.
Awesome, man. So we'll kick things off. Just for everyone who's watching, it's going to be about 30, 45 minutes for today's podcast. And we're covering everything from Jeremy's story to what he's seeing currently in the industry, what's working for him when it comes to sales and marketing, as well as just seeing what's the future plans for the business. So just to kick things off, to give context to everyone for your story, just tell a little bit about yourself and Top Rank Heating and Air Conditioning.
Well, I'm a second generation contractor. I grew up in a shop. My dad had been in sheet metal. He owned a fireplace company in the 70s, 80s, and then the 90s when I started to graduate from high school. He got me and my brother into heating and air. My brother went straight into trade school after high school. I went to college, went that route for a few years, and then worked in the restaurant business. And then my brother, he said, "Hey, move out to Vegas. We need some managers out here." And that's where I started my air conditioning. Start was in 1999 in Las Vegas. Was with a great corporation, LDI Mechanical, doing apartments, condos, high rises, hotels. And, I got the quick learning curve. I was based out of Vegas and was in charge of all the apartments in Vegas and Phoenix. Wow. And traveled back and forth for years, and some hot attics, having to do it all. I think my hottest day ever was 118 in Phoenix, and I had to fix a leak in an attic before I got on a plane an hour later. And after that, I moved to Sacramento with the same company, worked with them for till 2009, about when the economy collapsed. And I had 50 people below me for the company I worked for. And I let probably about 70 to 80 of those employees go. Wow. And then I was finally just let go. We saw the writing on the wall after pay was cut, this was cut, that was cut. I incorporated Top Rank in 2009 and had a good friend of mine move out from Colorado, Sean King, and we kind of started Top Rank together. I started in December of 2009, and he came about a month or two later, and we just, did everything we could. Gas was up high, but we got in with different municipalities that had all the rebate programs, and we just took advantage of the rebate programs. Instead of doing an $8,000-$10,000 job, we were doing $20,000, $30,000 with retrofitting people's houses like they're doing again with energy upgrades. Hot water heaters, going from gas to hybrid hot water heaters, going from gas systems to heat pump systems. So there's definitely a market there, but has there been struggles over the last 15 years? Sure. We can't control the way life's happened, but it's been a fun ride. I love what I do. I love helping people. We can fix anything, but if you don't love helping people, this is probably not the industry for you. You got to have to, it's rewarding when it's 100 degrees outside and you walk and they're like, "Oh, you answered my prayers." I don't know what better thing, comment you can get from somebody that, you feel like you're a hero, and it's a great feeling to feel that way when you walk into somebody's home and help fix their problems. So
awesome. And I guess just to double click into something that you said, I'm curious more as to, when you first started out your business, it seems like, you were forced into it, and kind of how are you feeling when that first happened, that you had a bunch of people under you. Now you're starting this new thing. Like, how are you feeling? And what was like your thought process as to like what you were going to do to build this company?
My thought process was to go back into what I knew, doing apartments, doing condos that way. But it was a really hard time. People were 2009 was 2010 was, it was the bottom of the bottom. And, I did go after the multifamily. That's the relationship I had, but they weren't paying their bills on time. And the one thing that made my payroll every week was residential repair and replacement. So I kind of about 2011, I changed our company's profile over to, I got rid of doing apartments. I sold that side of our business. And I just basically sold all the work we had to a larger company. And I just stuck to doing repair and replacement. But that's where the money's at. So if you're going to go up on your own, there's always work you can get. And these big, hey, I sold I've had couple $1 million projects we sold back then. I had 36 employees, and we were doing almost $5 million a year, but I wasn't making money, and I was starting to wasn't getting bitter. I was just kind of like, oh, it's just around the corner. It's just around the corner. But how many times can you tell that to your wife?
Yeah.
We're just right around the corner. And finally I made the decision to cut that type of work off and go to a model where when we finished the job, we got paid, not, oh, you're waiting 30, 60, 90 days to get paid, because that's where guys struggle. I would start off small and work your way up to what you want. Some guys are able to do it, but you usually have to have a good financial partner to do that, or you belly up with a larger company that maybe, I know a couple other guys that started in the apartment world, and they also had a framing contractor that did apartments, and they wanted to add HVAC to that framing. So now they're taking over the total project versus just a small portion of framing. And framing is a very large of construction, but those are the kind of things. But it was tough. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I had nights I'd be in the shop, or mornings I'd be in the shop at 4 a.m. and barely made my life, and then back to work. I had years of doing that. I'm glad those times are over, but yeah, it was definitely hard times. 2010, nobody made good money then. It was tough. Sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's, I can imagine how difficult that was. And I guess moving from commercial to residential, like, how did you begin to get your name out there? I know over the phone, like prior to this, we talked about how you did a lot of grassroots marketing and, building back into your community. Like, how did you made transition, and then how did you begin to get your name out there?
So the biggest thing I did is I got involved. I was a part of a BNI networking group. It's called Business Network International. And you meet with, anywhere from 15 to 30 people on a weekly basis that are your salespeople. And what BNI is give or gain.
Yep.
If you're going to give your group, 5 referrals, I'd probably see 2 or 3 back sooner than later. And that's kind of where the success started, that mindset. You got to have a mindset. In your mindset is like, how am I going to change as a business owner from giving to people and not gaining anything back? And sometimes I go to all the meetings. I go meet with all these people one-to-one. They love my story. They love me as a person, and they love what I was about. And then all of a sudden, sales just went. Within a year of being in groups, I had my wife was in a group. I had a couple of my employees in a group. We were in 5 groups, and within those 5 groups, we were doing about $500,000 a year in business in BNI. One chapter. Wow. Yeah. So it was in the investment for BNI back then was like $400. It's about $500-600 now a year to be a member. But one big HVAC job pays for that. And I pay for that. We're probably 40 over a year. I probably get 20 per group, we probably get 20 installs a year for $600 investment, and our time, so you figure we maybe spend $4,000 a year in, if we were in 5 groups to get $500,000 worth of business. What other way can you get that? I got involved with the Chamber of Commerce in a couple different cities, and I'd go to those meetings, meet more people. They'd have networking meetings at a Chili's one night, and a bunch of businesses. I just go meet them, hand out cards. Hey, you want me to visit your group? How about you substitute for me? I'll substitute for you. So then you build relationships with these other people. Big thing too is getting involved in I was 32, 33 years old when I started my business, and I have young kids. I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old. I've been coaching both of their sport programs and sponsoring their teams for the last 5-7 years, depending on the age of my kid. And our names on the back of the jerseys. I don't do it on purpose. I do it because I want to give. I want to give to my community. I want to give to my kids. So you got to have that mindset. Well, I've been given. Well, it's not always about taking. It's about gaining. You're gaining respect with your community. You're gaining respect with your peers. You're gaining respect from your kids' parents. And we also, when we kind of made a big turn, my nephew was playing high school football. I had some friends that were coaching high school football. We got a bunch of water bottles made up of our logo, Carrier logo on them. We kind of co-opted with Carrier to get these water bottles. And we also supported the JDRF, the Junior Diabetes Foundation. We had a friend of ours that son was one of their that had it. And so we sponsored him and did big events in the community whenever we could and hand out these water bottles. We got like 5,000 water bottles made up, and we gave them to the high school kids. We gave them, to the football teams, the volleyball team, whatever was going on in the fall program. To this day, I have people that still have some of those water bottles that we've done over the years. And they're like, I couldn't find it. I had to go in the dishwasher to find your phone number, because she couldn't remember the name of the company. She thought it was Top Gun, but it was Top Rank. So
Top Gun.
Yeah. So kind of funny, but yeah. So that's, to me, it's just getting involved in the community. They have a lot of these, event fairs. Like one of the biggest events we do every year in Elk Grove here is called the Pumpkin Festival. And it's, they have 3,000-4,000 pound pumpkins that win this competition for like $25,000, $30,000. But on a weekend, there's 60,000, 70,000 people that go into this pumpkin festival. And we hand out orange bags that have our logo on them. And then we also get co-op from Carrier for putting their logo on it. So we really pay for the bags. Our marketing funds do, or the amount of equipment we do. So, whenever you can brand a national name like Carrier, there's many other companies out there, but when you brand a national company like that, you get co-op money for it. So a lot of guys don't hit their salespeople up. The guys that always bug, hey, can I come by and see you? Well, use them because they use you to sell their equipment. So, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, I'm going to sell your equipment, but what are you going to give me to help brand my company? And that's, to me, Grassroots is the only way to start a company. You can be a big company, buys out a smaller company and flips the brand name and just pours hundreds of thousands of dollars in. You don't have the same success long-term as you do by building a brand that's built around your family, your values, your commitment to that community. So that's where I believe Grassroots is the number one source. And then you get on with a company that does great SEO for you and then build that brand even further out that way.
Yeah, I find that's very interesting. A friend was telling me about how some of the local breweries are, where a lot of the bigger like brands, let's say Budweiser, they would buy up a lot of these local breweries, but they wouldn't change their branding because they want to be able to retain a lot of the relationships and that brand recognition within that community. And so yeah, totally agree. Like you can't replace those types of relationships that you have with your community and all that you poured in, with, sponsoring teams and everything. Like that stays in people's mind. It's so amazing. Like people digging up water bottles out of their dishwasher to find your phone number. That's incredible.
Like probably one of the best marketing tools is, you'll have a kind of I'm a blue collar guy. I'll die a blue collar guy. But you'll see other blue collar guys coming by with their families and they're kind of ignoring you. I say, hey buddy, I got a present for you. And I'll pull up a bottle opener for a beer. He goes, oh, what do you got for me? And I'll just give him that. 2 weeks later, he goes, hey, you gave me a bottle opener at that event we were at. Can you guys come out and tune up my AC? That little 75-cent bottle opener, you get a big burly guy that, you're like, should I talk to this guy? You got to find the tool that's going to be, that you're going to give to him, and so, just find those little things that you can get in there and sell. So that's one thing I've always been good at is, when you identify what's this person's thing they love to do, is it, you walk in and if there's 100 pictures of Jesus in the house, that you better be on your P's and Q's on how you're going to talk to this person, what words you're going to use to this person, and then, but if you find that he has a Chicago Bulls picture on it, you might need to talk about basketball. So you got to be a little bit elusive when you go into people's homes and know what you can talk about and what you can't talk about. You got to be a little bit of a chameleon, I guess is the best way to put it.
I love it. And so just to switch gears, I want to bring it now to now 2022. It's March 2022. Currently prices are going up for nearly everything: steel, capacitors, gas. It's especially in California. I don't know what the gas is up to now. It's $7 $6. Oh my God. So I guess with all these rising costs, I'm curious, what are you doing to keep up with the costs? How are you, I'm sure it's taking a lot off the bottom line. So how are you dealing with these rising costs?
I'll be the first to say we can't sugarcoat it. Yeah. Have our prices gone up? Sure, they have to. We can't stay in business if we don't. One of the things I'm trying to do to lower the overhead is because the only thing you can really control is labor, fuel cost, and the overhead cost, goods coming in and out of your shop. One of the biggest things we're doing right now is, and I haven't done this in the past, I'm doubling up some of our technicians, putting a younger kid with them, to be a helper, because then they're getting training at the same time. But, I'm teaching our team how to get through calls a little bit quicker, but to give them a full service. When you get up to the door and, just let them know, hey, Miss Jones, I'm here with one of my junior techs today, and, go over what our procedures are. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to have him start at the AC. He's going to put the gauges on. He's going to get it all prepped for me. I'm going to go over this with, and then go, hey, Johnny, can you go take care of that for Mrs. Jones? There's no dogs or cats in the home or nothing. It's going to get out of the backyard. And I'm going to go over everything with her today. And then I'll be with good. Go over issues in the he'll be there, and just making sure we're texting before, during, after with our customers, emailing them, however we can to get a hold of them. Because the biggest disappointment is if our technicians have 4 to 6 jobs that day, that they're not wasting their time heading to a house where nobody's going to be home.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's frustrating.
But we are having to raise our prices a little bit. Our service call prices, but I've talked to many of the people in my industry locally, and you go from a month ago, price was at $4 something, right? To now we're $5.99, $6.05. I've parked a few of our trucks, and I've always been, hey, if you're a technician, if you're not on call, they're parking some of their trucks here at night in our shop. Just it's wear and tear, it's fuel cost, it's a lot of things that you got to watch the bottom line, and And everybody needs to understand, if we're going to stay in business, long term, we got to watch when the times get tough. Like I said, I started my company full time in 2010, the worst economy I've ever seen, and that even my parents, it's the worst economy they've ever seen. So you got to be prepared to make tough decisions. And right now I've had to make a few tough decisions on there, but it's going to help us in the long run.
Yep. And yeah, it's, if the mothership goes down, the company goes down, it's like, it's not good for anybody. Not good for community, not good for everyone on the team. And so, yeah, sometimes you just got to make those tough calls. And I guess diving into, you mentioned a little bit about your team. I'm curious, like, how have things been with hiring, retention, and topics around that? Because it seems like just across the country, one of the biggest issues is like finding enough guys to work or keeping them on board. Are you facing similar issues? If not, like, how did you solve for those types of issues?
Well, yeah, it's continued to be an issue with hiring people. I've always been able to find, if I really haven't lost anybody in the last year. We had one incident with COVID where we did lose one employee from that, and it's been hard to replace him. He was a solid guy, but the biggest thing we've done, we have a full training staff. We have equipment in our building. We have motors to work on. We have compressors to work on. We have furnaces set up. We have everything we need to have a full training facility here at our office. So we're educating guys where some of the bigger companies that do a little bit more than just residential, they're training certain people, but they're not training all their staff. Well, we're trying to focus on all of our staff all the time. And, our team, we're right around 18 field employees, and then we have about 5. We're going to probably hire another 1 or 2 office staff going into summer, but we're right around 20 to about 25 employees total. But we started 401k for all of our employees last year. We've moved over to some better insurance plans. Just trying to give our employees a little bit more, so that they're not looking to jump ship to work somewhere where, they might pay them $1 or $2 more, but are they going to still get the education? Are they still going to get the proper training and have the proper support? So I think that's the biggest thing. As you're starting off small, you can go to the different, facilities to get training, but that costs you money. Mm-hmm. I finally made a commitment to bring the trainer in our office, so we have a full tech support. That if our guys get stuck on a call, they can make a phone call to me. If I'm unavailable, I have a full-time manager that, he spends probably about, say, 4 to 5 hours a day in the office. And then he also goes out in the field with the guys and makes sure they're on point with their installs, the quality level where it needs to be. We have a startup sheet, and a lot of ways they get spiffs for completing the job on time, performance type stuff. Well, we have a startup sheet, and that startup sheet as they're completing that startup sheet, myself or another one of my managers will come out to the site and make sure that they hit everything from A to Z the way they're supposed to. Polish that. Let's, tighten something up here, because at the end of the day, a lot of times home open their attics, right? So try to take before and after pictures and like, oh man, I didn't realize it looked that bad up there. To give them the quality. So training is probably the number one thing that we're doing to keep staff. And that's what's also getting people to want to come into our business. We can certify them to get EPA side. We have, we're borderline almost full-time we're going to start a school at Top Rank that we can also bring people on, train them. We're working with other contractors locally, getting their employees EPA certified. So I kind of like giver's gain. I don't mind giving to other contractors. I don't mind being a mentor for other businesses. And I don't mind graduating my employees from my employee or one of our team members to a contractor. I've had over the last, I'd say 10 years, I've had 6 people that have worked for me that have gone into being a contractor. I've even had them work for me part-time as a subcontractor till they got their feet underneath them. They're good employees. Why not? Yeah. So but that's how we're kind of keeping our team going. We run about 12 trucks right now. I do got 3 parked here right now that they don't go home anywhere, just because we're trying to save money, because, it's a weird time, besides fuel prices going on. Now we got a war going on. We just got coming out of a pandemic, and, so we're trying to keep a fine line and keep, we don't micromanage our team, but at the same time, we're trying to micromanage everything around us going on.
Yes.
We can't control.
And I love that. I can tell that you care a lot about your team. And I just wanted to, for anyone who didn't catch it, just like the distinction you made between, you said employee, but then you switched to team member. And we do something similar in our company where, I don't like calling people employees. It's like they're our team. Like we're kind of like a professional sports team. We're in it together. We're working towards a common goal. And so I love that philosophy. I love the giver's gain. And I love the fact that you're investing so much in your team, even if they end up starting their own thing. That takes it says a lot about your character to be able to do that. So I think that's why people love coming to work for you and stay around, because of how much you pour into them. So incredible stuff. So I guess looking forward to the future. I know that right now there's a few troubles that are on the nearby horizon, but where do you see Top Rank in the next 5 years? Like what does that picture look like for you?
Well, right now we're doing about 3.5 million in revenue. To jump up to 5 in this year. That was kind of my goal, but with everything going on, it's kind of like we'll definitely hit $4 million in revenue this year. If whatever we do over 4, I'd be a happy camper. Just not for me, but our whole team. With having 401k and having some of the extra benefits that we do for our team, it's not me just making money. It's our whole team making more money. It's newer vehicles. It's everything. So I'd say in the next 2 years, be at 5 million, and within the next 5 years, be at 10 million. And just keep growing from there. We kind of cover a broad area of services. I don't market everywhere, but I've been around for a number of years and covered probably about 100 to 200 mile radius, not just with my business, but where I've worked over the last 20 years. So I'm well known in the industry. So it's when people refer me to drive 70 miles to do a job, I'm like, I didn't pay for marketing. So yeah, let's go ahead and take care of them. It's kind of like one of those things. If I get referred, I'll pretty much drive a couple hundred miles, but at the same time, I'll talk with them over the phone before I do that. But my guy's like, man, you got friends everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, well, they love Jeremy. I don't know what to tell you. So, a couple of things too that I really tell people that are young in the industry, it doesn't cost much money to have a professional logo made. That was the one thing I from the company I worked for previous. They had their original logo, and then they merged and created a huge corporation, had another logo made, and then they just took that logo and just twisted it back to their original name when they came back. So I was part of that from the very beginning with their company. So I learned a lot about branding and logos, and and when we created our logo, it was a red and white, like almost everybody does for hot and cold. But all of our vehicles are wrapped with American flags, and then our stuff's embossed into them, and that's our billboard. We have a moving billboard that they see from, you can see an American flag on a truck coming from 30 cars away.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be pop out when you're out there. A lot of guys, you'll get salespeople come in. Hey, I'm with ABC and we got this banner for sale, and you want to increase your revenue by 50%. You got to get a billboard up. Well, I have 12 billboards that drive all around Sacramento County every day. And I have people go, how many trucks you got now? 20, 30 of them? I go, I kind of lose track. I don't want to give them the exact number because, you see one truck here, you see one truck. If you see 3 or 4 of my trucks a day, you think I got 30 of them.
Yeah.
So branding your vehicles is probably the number one thing. They have this saying in our business, chucking a truck, or, And it's like when you have your brand it properly, you don't become that guy anymore. When I used to have 3 trucks, people thought I had 10 trucks. Now that I have 10 or 12 trucks wrapped, people think I have 30 trucks. So, I'm not trying to make myself look bigger than I am, but it works. I mean, branding your trucks with wraps on them, they'll last, 3 to 5 years, the wrap. But, I think if a truck hasn't been wrapped before, it's about $2,500 to wrap a truck. And a billboard's probably about $3,000 to $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So for $2,500 to $3,000 to wrap a truck, I mean, it's weight in gold.
No brainer.
Yeah, really no brainer.
And I guess some other questions having to do with your growth trajectory. Like, do you see any challenges along the way? Because growing from, let's say, 3 to 5, then 5 to 10, like those are big leaps. That's going to be changes in your team, in terms of your structures, in terms of your systems. Like, what do you foresee are like the things that you'll need to take care of before you just break through to those new levels?
I kind of, since I came from a huge corporation, my division alone did 20 million and their whole company did about 300 million in revenue. So I came from a big corporation. So I've had that mindset from the beginning, but there's no reason why you can't get mentors and other people. I've had a business coach for almost 10 years and I don't have a business coach because I can't run my business. I have a business coach to run ideas through. And then, we'll come together at the beginning, before the end of, like usually October, November, we sit down and we kind of go over our game plan for the next 6 months. And I'll run some ideas past him. He'll run some ideas past me. We'll come to a common ground. And it's somebody too, like that holds you to the flame. They're like, hey, Jeremy, you made these commitments. How are we going to get them done? So as a business owner, I don't have all the ideas, but if I put the right people in my team to have all the ideas, we'll succeed. So so to get from where we're at, I have great software. Service Titan is what all the big boys have. I had Successware before that. So I've always had all the right software, had all the right programs. Now it comes down to getting the right staff. So to jump from 3.5 million to 5 million, I feel with the number of employees we have, we have about 18 field employees right now and, about 6 office staff. Office staff, we're pretty much right there, but we probably do need to, I'd say for every million, you need about 5 guys. That's kind of my, mindset. Some companies need a little bit more, but I kind of try to run things bare bones. But I would probably say staff, we're going to need a couple more managers to help us manage that side of it. But to jump from, 3.5 to 5 million, we need about 10 more team members.
10 more team members.
Yeah. So a couple managers, more service technicians, more installers. So we've been with us starting to do a lot of training for other businesses. I'll never steal somebody else's employees. But it's kind of that give or gain. I've had a couple of them say, hey, we're getting ready to lay off a couple of guys, Jeremy. Can you take them?
Wow.
So it's respect there. I respect, I'll never talk bad about another company. If I run across something, I've even been out on jobs where people, hey, can you come out here? I get out there and they want me to look at a brand new install. And I'm like, oh, if you want, I'll come out here with the other company. We'll go through the breakdown and find what the problem is. But I think it's fair to them. It's fair to you because, if I come and fix their problem, you're not going to it's hard to get legal ramifications if you didn't give them the chance to fix their problem. So, because it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, you call me to come out. You don't like what the other company did, but you never let them know what they did wrong. I have a hard time coming in there and say, oh, it's this is that. They did this wrong. And, I'm not the police, put it that way. I'm not going to tell the homeowner everything they did wrong. I don't like this, but why don't we have them come back out here and I'll work with them with it. So I've done that too many times. I did it twice last month. So, But it comes down to training. That's the number one thing that's going to make somebody be successful. And, even as an owner, you can go get the training and then bring that training back to your employees, but you got to put it into practice. Not just go to a class and go in one window, out the other window, or in one ear, out the other ear, So.
Love it. So yeah, I guess as we're moving to the end of the podcast, just have two last questions for you. The first one is any parting advice that you'd have for someone who is thinking about making the leap to start their own HVAC business?
Yeah, be prepared. Have a goose egg set aside because, your first year or two, you're not going to make $1 million. You know what I mean? It's there's trial and error, but have everything organized. Have a truck full of tools ready to go into a truck, or even have a truck ready to, and then also have a truck full of tools in your garage, ready, paid off, ready to go. And then, join a BNI network. And I mean, I can't tell you how successful I've been from joining those local networks. And, don't try to chew off more than you can handle. Stay small. I know a lot of guys will get into like doing the home warranty where you're working for a home warranty company doing insurance work. And there's some guys that have been very successful at it. But the one thing is, if you don't cross your T's, you don't dot your I's, they're not going to pay you on time. So why go to waste that money working for a company like that if, you're not finally sharp, and get a business coach, get a mentor that somebody can help you, along the way. Have somebody you can fall back on, because the boss you leave might not be as nice as Jeremy here, and say, hey, let me help you out. I had a guy that said, hey, he's doing really well. He did in his first year by himself. He did $700,000. He put money in the bank, and he was out of his house, and he went to go, I need to get a building. I said, don't get a building. You don't need a building. Get a PO box. A lot of companies have PO boxes. You don't always need to be like, the big guys that are on all the TV commercials. Wait to get there. Take your time. There's certain steps. For doing $1 million, I don't think you need to be in a building. Once you get past the $1 million, you probably need to start, really quickly. So, but once you get to make that decision, do I stay in my house for a little bit and stay around $1 million, or do I want to get to 2 million? Because that's when you do about $1.5 million is you really need to get out of your house, because your neighbor's going to start getting mad after a while.
I love that. So yeah, so I guess as we're closing up, is there anything that oh yeah, with the annoying neighbors. But yeah, as we're closing up, is there anything that you want to share, like any other books or resources or anything that you want to promote? Yeah, feel free to share anything that any last things that you want to share with the audience.
Like I said, I think for the most part is, you have to me, this has been something I've kind of stand behind for a number of years, is the leader sets the pace. So if you're not willing as an owner to get up in that attic and show your team what to do, don't expect them to do it. You know what I mean? There's not that many people that have the drive, have the will, have the ambition to jump up in an attic. But once they see the boss do it, it's over. You got people that are going to jump through, run through walls for you, jump in front of a bullet for you. I mean, but you got to show them that you're the leader. And hey, there's times where, you see a spare shirt behind me right there, that's a service shirt. It doesn't get put on every day of the week. But there's a lot, I'm the head comfort advisor. I'm the head sales guy. Sometimes I'm the head garbage man here. And you got to just set the pace, the precedence for all of your employees. Let's do this together. Our shop was, I call it spring cleaning. I don't know. We had a busy winter. February is kind of like your spring cleaning, get ready for summer. And I had me and the lowest guy total a lot of equipment that we reorganize it, get things ready for summertime. Right now, we're 95% ready for spring going into summer. And that's
Incredible.
and that employee, like, he went around and said, man, the boss was with me for 2 days. We cleaned that shop. He's picking up, stuff with his hands. And, they're like, yeah, wait till he puts you up in an attic. You won't get out of it. So I don't mind working. Like I said, I'm blue collar for life, but I'm going to build an empire that my family, my kids can benefit from. They get to go on great vacations every year, but if my kids want to take this thing over, they can. My kids, I'll go out to banquet dinners where they have auctions and stuff like that. I'll bring a stack of business cards an inch thick, because I'm sponsoring it or whatever. And my daughter will go and let everybody know who her daddy is. She's a better salesman than me, and she's only 11 years old. And but I went to one of these events. I won something. I went to go, get what I won at, and I gave my business card. Oh, you're Marley's dad. I go, yeah, I am. So if she's 11. I'd say in the next 10 years, if she's not done with college, she'll definitely be in top rank. And she answers the phone sometimes when she's here. So, it's a family corporation. And if the family wants to continue doing it if I don't decide to retire in the next 10 years, we love what we do, and you got to love what you do. That's the number one thing. So
amen to that. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jeremy, so much for your time. And thank you as well for sharing all of your insights, experience, and just advice on how a younger contractor could, get involved with the business and find success. But yeah, that's about it, everybody. We're nearing the 45-minute mark. Thank you for joining us for the HVAC Financial Freedom Podcast. We'll be on next week for another podcast next Thursday. So make sure to tune in. So thanks so much, and I'll see you on the next one.